Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, good people? How is everybody doing? Let's dance. Put on your red shoes and dance with me. See, I get to sing when Cherie is late because she never wants me to sing. What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Glenn P. Brooks Jr. here. Welcome to Breakfast with the Brookses. Cherie is running a little bit late. If you can hear in the background, we have our coffee brewing. And she's trying to get her head together. I asked her, I said, babe, you're natural, so can't you just wing it? And she's like, no, you don't really do it like that just because you're natural. Don't give you permission to wing it. Good morning, everybody. What's up? I know that's right, Karen. I know that's right. Let's go, Glenn. Go, Glenn. Go, Glenn. No, I will get in trouble if I keep going. Hey guys, what's happening? What's happening? Who's jumping in the room? Let me put my specs on here. Linwood, what's up, brother? Shout out to the MAPS Masterclass. I'm going to say it again. Shout out to the MAPS Masterclass. For those of you all who don't know, we started a community called Marriages and Parenting Successfully back in January 2017. So we're coming up on 2 years. And it's gotten to the place that where a bunch of people, particularly colleagues of ours, people who are in the counseling, coaching, relationship development space, are really looking to expand, to grow their business, being able to do that in a way that really helps to add value to other folks. And we have decided to launch a masterclass to help them do that. I put the link up in the comments, so make sure that you go there. Karen, if you have that link available, please go ahead and drop that in. But guys, we really want you to come and be a part of that. Again, if you are a person who loves adding value to marriages and parents and people who want to grow healthy relationships in your lane, I've got some people in the class who are licensed professionals. They're counselors, they're coaches already, maybe they're authors, but they're not quite making a lot of headroom in their business, and they want to be able to figure out how we're able to leverage and do what we do. So make sure that you go be a part of that. The crcoach.com. I don't know if it's there. If you go up to the description, Karen, and grab the bit.ly link and cut and paste that, it would be there in the description. So for those of you all who are joining and not in that category, and you're like, the world's he talking about? I thought this was Breakfast with the Brookses. It is. Welcome to Breakfast with the Brookses. I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr. My counterpart, cohort, co-laborer is over there. Babe, what are you doing?
Yes, my coffee, sorry.
You're late. People are waiting. And you're noisy. You can't be late and noisy.
Sorry.
See, you see how she does me, guys? So she's late and she's noisy. Cherie will be here in a minute. Obviously, again, if you want to be a part of the MAPS Relationship Academy, maybe you are a mother or a father, or maybe you are a co-parent, or maybe you're newly married. We're going to talk about those folks today. Maybe you're a veteran, you're a marriage veteran. Well, a shout out to our new married couple, Lacey and Rick. Good to see you, Lacey. I see you on the call. Guys, listen, I felt a little shame. I know that I'm sitting and said it's all about the coffee. I know that's right. Y'all can tell I'm a little excited and I'm a little wound up. I'm gonna need Cherie to come on over here to help calm me down. But we got some great things to talk about today, guys. We really want to add some value to marriages. You're gonna have to cut that other light off when you get a chance. To add value to marriages, guys, because at the end of the day, if you don't have the tools and the skill sets to be able to make your relationships work, if you've been on with us any length of time, guys, you know that's just critical. The love, the feeling of love is just not enough to make it all happen. And eventually you're going to need some skills. So make sure you go to thecrcoach.com, www.thecrcoach.com, and that will help you. There she is. There she is, ladies and gentlemen, with her. Are you serious right now? Are you serious? Like you totally sat down and now you're not gonna see? Y'all see what I go through? Can I fire her she should be suspended for at least one broadcast. Everybody who thinks Cherie should be suspended for at least one broadcast, put a high five in the chat. Put a high five.
They love me.
No, you're going to be suspended because that's just not nice. You're late.
I apologize for being late this morning, guys. I had a little issue was dealing with our daughter this morning. Nothing bad, but just had to.
God bless
work
her
on
heart.
something this morning.
Lacey said, no, nope. See, you got fans here. That's a cameo. Linwood said that's a cameo appearance. Linwood, look, brother, that was a good one. Let me just go ahead and back off and get myself together before I get beat up.
Good morning, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, the lovely late this morning.
Cherie Brooks Jr., author, speaker, relationship, and life balance coach. And it's great to be with you guys this morning.
Don't be giving me that all soft voice.
I apologize for being late.
Yeah, and now you got the little light voice like you. No, I'm bothered with you this morning. I'm not messing with you. Y'all see how we roll? Listen, that's it, Karen. Thank you very much for redirecting me because I need a little help this morning. Guys, listen, if you want to know more information about the MAPS Relationship Academy, that's the schedule of when we meet. On Tuesdays, we meet with both the couples and the parents. And on every first and third Thursday, I always want to say every other Thursday, but it's every first and third Thursday. Cherie meets with the ladies, and then I meet with the fellas on Sunday evenings. And
she said you can't fire me.
And she says she can't fire. And we love Cherie, and you can't fire. Okay, Karen. Okay, the consensus is I can't fire Cherie. All right, cool. So I can't even suspend you. That's just terrible. No. You have them players on the teams, and they just can do anything they want, and it's not good for morale for the rest of. It's not good for morale for the rest of the team.
Superstar.
Guys, listen.
I'm LeBron.
If you want to catch any other of the replays, anything. Good morning, Imani. I'm not talking to Cherie right now. Good morning, Imani. So if you want to catch any of our replays, guys, or anything else we're doing publicly, some of the talks that I've done, some coaching things and stuff, make sure that you go to youtube.com/the CR Coach. And make sure you catch all of our replays.
Hey,
what's going on? It's C Diggity, my good friend, comedian Corwin C Dog Oglesby. What's up? He says, "What's up, juniors? What's going on, brother? How you feeling, man? How you feeling? Everybody good? I know that's right.
We got them going.
Listen, we got them wound up. They don't even talk about the subject matter. It's called a blended package deal. Glenn P. Brooks Jr.
That's right.
Get it together.
Act like you got some sense. You
Now
signed up for all this.
I signed up for all that.
For all this.
Now that I got my little rant out.
You fine now.
I'm better. Coffee is.
You had a woosah moment.
I just had a woosah moment. It just happened just right then. And
for those of you that are just tuning in, I was late this morning, a few minutes late, and so Glenn was
a little upset.
A little upset that I was late.
Yeah, because I had to do it by myself. I don't like it.
It's okay.
I don't like it when I have to do it by myself.
I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, cool. So guys, listen really quickly. I'm having way too much.
Our life.
This is totally our life. So listen, guys, for those of you all who coffee is from the Lord.
Yes, it is.
And you forgot to spell that with a T, my friend. I just want to let you know it's from the Lord.
Lord.
Yeah, that's an incorrect spelling there. So I just want to let you know coffee is absolutely from the Lord. So guys, today we are going to I want to ask the question. If you are married, put a 1 in the chat. If you are married at the moment, currently, put a 1 in the chat. If you've been married for more than 5 years, I want you to put a 5 in the chat. If you've been married for more than 5 years, I want you to put a 5 in the chat. Cherie, one of the things that I want.
What if they were married before?
Between 1 and 5.
If they were ever married.
If they were ever married, put a 2 in the chat. If you're divorced and you were ever married, put a 2 in the chat. If you're divorced and you were ever married, I want you to put a 2. So the 1 is for people who are married.
Oh gosh, how many ones
she's putting like 15 ones. The 1 is for people who are married or who are married. The 2 is for people who have been married before. Maybe you're divorced now, right? And then the 5 is for people who've been married for longer than 5 years, okay?
That also counts for the ones that were married before. If you were married before for over 5 years, put a 5.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Put a 5 if you were married before. Okay, so we got
Ebony.
What's going on? Ebony got a 5. Ebony also got a 1. Linwood, I like Linwood. Linwood said 2, hitting 5 in 2 weeks. Woohoo, brother, you qualified this morning. You is it Nisha? I think it is. She put a 2. Karen put a 2. Sidna, It's got a 2. We got a couple of divorced folks in the room. That's what's up. Lacey put a 1.
Lacey, where you want it?
She already put her 1
okay.
in the chat, Karen.
Okay.
Leave Lacey alone. Amani said 1. And look, Colin, why he's extra this morning? He's got a whole string of 5s. Listen, guys, I want to talk just very quickly, and I want to give some tips and some strategies and some different things. We're going to talk a little bit about this, Sheree. You and I, we kind of qualify. What's up, Jeff? Thanks for jumping in. Jeff is chiming in at a 5. Good to see you, brother. If you've been married for 5 years or more, there is a perspective that you have on marriage that's pretty much the perspective that you're going to have for the duration.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say that now we're coming up on 20 years. We both have marriages prior. Would you say that that 5-year mark is about the mark where all of what you pretty much are going to see, you've seen to a degree, not necessarily in terms of what won't happen, but dynamic wise, you kind of got a good handle on what's needed, what's not needed, and what can happen. Would you say that's about the stride right there at 5 to 7 years?
Yeah, I think within 5 years, you pretty much you have settled in to each other. You kind of have learned each other's quirks and idiosyncrasies.
Oh, that's a $20.
You
can
also
you spell that?
No, I can't.
Okay.
I can say it. I can't spell it. You also have developed a rhythm.
Yeah.
Typically by year 5, and you're seeing what's working. You've had a couple of years to kind of you've gone through the honeymoon stage.
Yep.
And you Jessica says 7. You've gone through the honeymoon stage.
I'm not talking to Jessica. No. That's Corwin's wife, by the way. Right. She is a pistol. Y'all don't want to get her started because she'll do a live while we're doing this just to mess with the rest of y'all. So please be nice.
Right. So you've gone through that honeymoon stage. You've kind of settled into reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so around year 5, things are starting to be real.
Mm-hmm.
You realize, okay, this is real. This is what we're really doing. And you're starting to notice, okay, this isn't working. We've been doing that.
Yep.
Can't keep doing that.
Yeah.
You know, and so you come to some realizations around year 5, and definitely by year 7, you kind of have hopefully worked most of that stuff out.
Yeah. Well, I think that for us, I know, for me, it was probably around year 5 in my first marriage that I realized.
I didn't make it to 5 in my first and second
marriage. I know it. It's okay. But you had 2 marriages. So we're going to combine the 2 and say that here's what I learned, guys, that there was a ton of stuff that I didn't know. Mm-hmm. And I realized that things were not working. But here was the challenge for me. I didn't know how to turn the corner on it. I didn't know how to make it work. And a lot of it was just really steeped in, I won't just say selfishness. That was a huge part of it. But the other part was ignorance. And I just didn't know what I didn't know. And you don't realize you don't know what you don't know a lot of times until you're in the throes of it. Here's how you know you don't know what you don't know. When you need to know it in order to fix it. And you can't fix it, right? It's a problem. You know it's a problem, but there's nothing you don't know how to fix it. And I think that at 5 years in, I was in trouble. Because I realized there was a huge problem here and I didn't know how to fix it.
Right. And I think what happens typically in marriage in the early years, like I said, you're going through this, you're in this fantasy state and everything is perfect and everything is fine. And as issues come up in the early years, oftentimes couples just kind of skirt past stuff.
Yep.
You're like, oh, that's not that big a deal. But over the years, as things happen over and over again, you start to really acknowledge, okay, that's an issue.
Yeah,
we need to address.
We need to address that.
We can't. It's the buildup, and so by year 5, usually that buildup has gotten to the point where you're like, okay, I can't deal with this. We need to correct this. We need to fix this. I can't keep doing this, or I need more of this.
Yeah,
whatever it is, by year 5, you kind of come to that conclusion that there's some gaps. There's some holes.
That's a good word. I love that. There's some gaps and they need to be filled. When you think about a person who's laying tile, oftentimes, there's a compound called caulk that they will lay in order to marry the tile and bring it together and cause it to stick. And unfortunately, there are many people in relationships that you don't know what kind of caulk you need in order to be able to fix things. So about a week ago, I jumped on Facebook and I just put out a question, really. And I was really remarkably surprised as to how in-depth some of these answers were. If you want to check that out, just go over to my personal page, facebook.com/Glenn P. Brooks Jr. But I asked the question, you've been married for 5 years or more. What has worked and what hasn't? And so today I kind of compiled all of those things in order to kind of give you guys what other people are saying that's working and not working. There's a point to this. I want you guys to understand that most of us can tell people what's not working. You can tell people in a heartbeat what doesn't work. You can tell people your pain really quickly. You go into the doctor and the doctor says, what's wrong? Oh, you can grout is what you put between the tiles. I'm sorry. See,
he said he didn't know what to do to fix it.
You see, now the point has been made. Corwin.
What was he saying?
I said caulk. I'm thinking about caulk. What do you put?
Caulk around the tub.
Caulk goes around the tub.
Yes.
Right. Talking about he used to work at Home Depot. He's a comedian, but he's really serious. Thank you for correcting me, sir. I am not above correction. I apologize for all my do-it-yourselfers. I got that wrong. The right is it's grout that goes in between the tiles and not caulk. So let the record show.
Please don't go try to fix your tiles.
Right. Please don't go get no caulk. Talking about Glenn P. Brooks Jr. said that there was just, I need some caulk for this tile. They've been looking at you like, first of all, who's Glenn P. Brooks Jr. and what right? So anyway, obviously that's not my lane. Corwin, thank you so much, sir, for adding some significant value to the show this morning. So guys, listen, we're going to talk about some things that I know for people that chimed in and they said, well, here's what works. Here's what works. If you're just jumping in, we appreciate you for jumping in. Rochelle just jumped in and a couple of other people, the names already scrolled by. Good morning, guys. I'm not ignoring you, but we're going to go through this content. But here's what I do want you to do. Listen to me carefully. I want you to begin to chime in because we're going to open up the back in a little bit for some Q&A or for some input. And I've actually tagged some people and said, hey, can you come on and can you share in real time, what's worked in your marriage? And so I want you guys to begin to think, if we don't hit these, because I kind of compiled these, I want you to think about what's worked in your marriage. Whether you've been married, particularly if you've been married for longer than 5 years, but even if you're really self-aware in year 1, 2, and 3, and you can see this has worked, or this isn't working, I still want you guys to chime in because I do not think that many of us, Cherie, often identify what's working enough.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right. It's human nature. We focus on what's going wrong.
Yeah.
We can always point out the bad in things, but we often don't take the time to sit back and focus on what's good.
Yeah.
What is working.
Absolutely. So really quickly, guys, I want you to know, number one, so we're talking about what works, right? So the number one thing that people have said, and again, I put a poll out about a week ago within my Facebook community. And again, if you want to go over and see that, just go to facebook.com, Glenn P. Brooks Jr., and you can see what they said. But the number one thing, if I had to compile it, said communication.
Right.
Communication works.
Yes, communication is key. If you guys can't talk, if you don't communicate about things, everything else is going to become an issue. I like to say, people will always say that, they think that the number one thing that relationships fails for is finances. I disagree in the fact that if you talk about your finances, typically you can deal with the finance, but what happens is that people have issues with finances, but it's because of their lack of communication about the finances. That's why finances wind up being a major issue. Yeah, they don't communicate about it.
There's a book years ago, I think Edwin Lewis Cole wrote it. It's called Sex, Communication, and Money. Sex, communication, and money. I think it is the three biggest components of why marriages fail. And I may got that title wrong, but it's something like that. But the point I'm making is that oftentimes we'll focus on the fact that there's no intimacy, or we'll focus on the fact that there. And I've recently done some research, and research is saying that communication really is the number one thing that will break a relationship in two really quickly. And a lot of that, guys, is because I honestly believe that communication is a skill set. See, when you can communicate effectively, it changes the whole game. It levels the playing field. And so therefore, all the other things come into play, and you're able to do a lot of self-correction, course correction, when you have that communication piece in play. Number two, the thing that people talked about more than anything that worked was community. And they kept saying this in different ways, that if it wasn't for so-and-so, or if it wasn't for the counselor I went to, or if it wasn't for the coach I had, or if it wasn't for sound wisdom here, the Bible says that there is safety. I want y'all to hear this clearly. There is safety in a multitude of counsel. And I think that, unfortunately, most of us grow up in that arena that says, hey, man, what goes on in this house
stays in this house.
What goes on in this house
stays in this house.
Don't y'all be
telling nobody our business.
And y'all know that's how we all grow up, right? And because of that, I think we lose.
Right. I think community is key. I think you have to surround yourself around people that are going where you want to go, whether it's in your personal relationships, whether it's in business and in life in general.
Yep.
You want to surround yourself with positive people, that can help you to grow.
Yep.
People that will speak truth to you, and won't you don't want a bunch of
yes people.
You want some people that's going to be real with you, that's going to speak truth. Because the thing is, in life, we walk through life, we only see one perspective. You need people in your life that can look into your life and can speak into your life. Yeah,
and even when you start talking about, yes people, I think that a lot of times people misconstrue or confuse. And Jessica, you hit it. Oh my gosh. I love it. I'm gonna use this because I was literally getting ready to go into this. So Jessica said community doesn't necessarily include family. Probably best to keep them out of it. Jessica and her husband Corwin are 13, 14 years into the game, guys. Here's the power in that statement that she just made, and I want to bring that to bear, because I literally was just talking about most people definition of community are the people that I know. Most people's definition of community are the people who are closest to me.
Right, family. They'll say that I got community. I got my family.
I got my girls. Or if it's a dude, I got my brothers or whatever. Sometimes it's somebody who has a small group in church or whatever the case may be. Let me help y'all understand something clearly. And this is coming from people who have screwed it up royally over and over again, and now working close to 20 years in. Here's what I have learned that community is not. Community is not people who can't speak truth to you in love.
Right.
That's how you know. In other words, if you have a family member who can't speak truth, then when it comes to building your marriage, they don't need to be a part of your community. If you have a person in church who just loves you and just going to tell you what you want to hear, they should not be a part of the community of people that you put together to help you win in your marriage. Mm-hmm. I believe that a community is more like a tribe. A tribe, when you think about it, is comprised of people who all have a job to do.
Right.
They all have a part to play. And at the end of the day, where they're going is paramount to the group. They are all going the same directions for the same reasons. And when they get there, they all win or they all lose. And that's why I do believe that it's important. I know for us, what changed the game was having that kind of community around us, babe, who literally, we all were going in the exact same direction.
Right. And I think that the key is when you think about community is a group of people that you guys have the same goal.
Yeah.
And so if I'm in Girl Scouts, that's the common goal. There's something common that you're all going together. When you're with your family, your family, you're connected by blood.
Yeah.
But you got family, some live this life, some live that life. Everybody got their own different perspective. So I'm not necessarily going to my family to talk about my marital issues. And also one thing Jessica pointed out also, that you have to be very careful with family, because, you could be going through something with your spouse. You guys are on the outs. You forgive them. You move on. Your family is going to hold on to it because there is an emotional attachment. Absolutely. So that's the other thing. When you're looking at community, these need to be people. Yes, they're people that you have a relationship with, but they don't need to be that vested that now they can't be objective.
Right.
You want them to be able to be objective, to be able to speak truth and be objective and be able to, if you forgive and move on, that they're fine with that. They're not going to hold on to it like this is their thing.
See, objectivity also comes with people who have healthy boundaries
and are mature.
And when you don't have those kind of people in your life, guys, you can't go to them with much of anything, because at this particular point, here's how you know you shouldn't go to talk to people about your issues when they're not winning in the very issue that you're losing in.
Right. If they got your uncle,
I need them to hear that. When you are talking to a person who is losing in the area that you are losing in, don't talk to them.
Right.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
Right. So if you got an uncle that's got a jacked up marriage,
come on now.
Why are you going to go talk to him? You'd be like, we going through, and you expect to get something sound from them? They're going to tell you something stupid because they doing stupid stuff. Or they going to just agree with you because
they don't want you
to be happy because they not happy.
Or you got that person that literally won't say nothing because they doing it on the low and they don't want you to know. And so they're not going to speak to you about the fact that you about to step out, because truth be told, they stepping out, and that conviction inside of them says,
I mean, if that's what you feel like
you need to do. I mean, you know, hey, to each his own, right? No, not right. That's not right. No, not to each his own. Look, we in this thing together, guys. And I think that if we're not careful, you all, it will blow up in your face when you are talking to a person that is losing. Yeah, right. Don't talk to them. And Linwood said, boom. You know what I'm saying? No, literally, guys. Eric Jones Jr., I love this. Eric says the community saved us because they're honest and no judgment. Family will judge you.
True.
Ooh, that's good.
And that's because of that emotional attachment.
That's because of that emotional attachment.
They're gonna judge you. They're gonna be looking at him all sideways.
So just you need me to go get my boys.
Right.
You need me to handle that.
I just need you to tell me the truth.
Your sister come to you and she's saying that she having a beef with her husband, and his answer or response, depending on where he grew up, is, oh, so you need me to handle that? What you need me to do?
That's not the response I need. I need some wisdom.
Help me, Jesus. That is terrible, right? So his answer is beat the dude down, right? It's like, no. I don't need you to beat my husband up. Well, maybe I do, but that's not the good thing to say right now. So guys, we're talking about, for those of you who are just jumping in, people have discovered who've been married for 5 years or longer that there are some things that work, hands down, and then there's some things that don't work. One of the things that we said that they found out that works is communication. Another thing was community. And the last thing, and then we're going to go to what doesn't work, is forgiveness. Forgiveness works.
Yes, forgiveness works. You have to be willing to extend grace to your spouse. You have to remember we're all human. We all make mistakes. Now, that does not give them a license to continue
cutting up.
Yeah.
I figured I'd help you because you
to continue down the same path.
Absolutely.
And there be no retribution, no
consequence
right,
for
no consequence
that.
For
we're not
action.
saying that, but what we are saying is
you still have to be able to forgive. Number one, forgiveness is freeing for you, because when you hold on to something, that hinders you as an individual. So you have to be willing to forgive them for your own self. But even in forgiving, forgiveness does not mean that there are no consequences necessarily for their action.
Correct.
So if you slap me, that doesn't just mean that I'm like, okay, I forgive you and I don't put boundaries in place now.
Right.
Now there's going to be boundaries. When we have arguments, when things start getting heated, hey,
I'm standing across the room.
Time out. We going
to slap me.
You need to get yourself together,
right,
and then we'll talk.
Right.
I'm not going to just let you continue to beat on me.
Absolutely.
Or walk all over me, or whatever the case is. If you have an affair and you come to me and you admit it, or I find out whatever, and I decide that I'd say, okay, I forgive you. But now there are boundaries in place. You're not there's some boundaries you have to check in more often.
Right.
You need to be accountable to somebody.
Right.
You need to put some things in place because you have to regain my trust now.
Sure.
But that forgiveness is necessary, even with the little things in relationships, so that you can move on.
Right.
So that you can't hold on. You can't create this list of everything that they've done wrong and you keep holding that over their head.
No, I think that, again, we're talking about what works, guys. And we've said that what works is communication. What works is community. What also works is is forgiveness. And here's what I know to be true. When you forgive, Cherie, you said it earlier, it frees you, but it also brings possibility to the table. Many of you are not able to work through and get to solution because you're still holding on. And I'm of the opinion that you can't hold on and get to where you need to be simultaneously. You're literally going to be pulled further and further from where you actually want to be, because you're holding on this end, but you absolutely are trying to not let go, if you will, on this end. You're going to have to let something go in order to go for something else. And so if you want to go to the next level in the relationship, if forgiveness doesn't come into the picture, and I understand you've been hurt. I understand the emotional pain. That's why you got to work through that. And that's why, again, we go back to community. Community is significant when it comes to that part. If you need if you need a coach, get one. If you need a counselor, get one. If you need a therapist, get one. If you need a support group, get one. Get whatever you need so that you can work through your forgiveness. And I think that at that particular point, you realize that winning is highly possible. Let me go really quickly. Yes, she did. And I'm trying to scroll down really quickly and get to that. But I think this is good stuff, guys. It says biggest consequence of hurting your spouse is broken trust, and rebuilding trust is a job and will require work.
Right. And that's work on the part of the one that has broken the trust. Absolutely.
It is not fair for you to do something that causes the trust to be broken or compromised in the relationship, and then you decide to put the onus on them to work out their forgiveness and just let it go because you're, quote, sorry, and then not do any work. That ain't fair.
Right. You talking about, well, I said I was sorry.
I mean, what you want?
I mean, why you still checking me?
I mean you all
right. I said I was sorry.
But I mean, I'm saying though, y'all see how that
why you gotta be asking me what I'm doing?
Why you gotta be checking my phone? Why you gotta be?
Because you violated the trust in the relationship.
Guys, newsflash. We are working on, we just completed a series called Fixing Broken Fences. It's everything about building healthy boundaries. When we release that, you need to get it, because here's what I'm going to promise you guys. If you are dealing with a person who is not willing to build boundaries and is not willing to be accountable, is not willing to submit their lives to a system or something in order to do that, the truth of the matter is that relationship has already come to an end.
Right.
It doesn't get better from there, because at that particular point, that's the work that it takes to get to where you need to be. See, you hit it the nail on the head. Forgiveness is given, trust is earned. Forgiveness is very similar to love. It's a choice. You choose to forgive. Let me tell you a secret about forgiveness. You're not going to often feel the feeling right away. So stop trying. Stop going after a feeling. People don't forgive often because they're not feeling it.
Right. You're not going to feel it, but it's a choice. It's like you choose to love somebody. You have to choose to forgive that person. The feeling will come over time.
Eventually, often the feeling will come.
Months. It might take years.
Right.
But you have to choose to do. It's an act. Forgiveness is an act. So I choose to forgive you. Now, in my choosing to forgive you, now you also have a choice, and you now need to choose to regain my trust. Absolutely.
So again, we're talking about the three things that worked for folks who've been married longer than 5 years. Number one, communication. Number two, community. Number three, forgiveness. So what hasn't worked? Let's talk about that a little bit, and then we're going to continue to open up. And guys, I want to hear y'all's opinions and what's worked and what hasn't worked for you guys. But number one, obviously the opposite of the other one, and that is no communication.
Right.
When you are not communicating effectively, when you do not have the skills to do that, it doesn't work. It stymies the relationship, because I can't now effectively connect to you to let you know what I need.
Right. And you'll be 50 years in, and you'll be roommates, and you won't have a relationship.
And roommates mean separate rooms and separate beds, because of no communication.
Because there'll be no intimacy.
We're not even making that up. Like, we know people like this.
There'll be no intimacy in the relationship. You both will live separate lives under the same roof. under the guise of
Right.
we're married.
Right. And here's the crazy thing. And then God forbid, if you're trying to do some things financially together, that's not happening, because at this point now you're going to lean on the whole, don't tell the right hand what the left hand is doing.
You gotta always keep you a
You gotta
little
always
something
keep you a
on
little
the
something on the
side.
side just in case.
Have your own little, what is that?
See, the no communication is absolutely a deal breaker. So we know that that doesn't work. We also know that not forgiving doesn't work, right? And obviously, for the obvious reasons, we went into forgiveness quite a bit. And these are the things that people said. Here's the thing that I thought was really, really particularly key. Someone, and quite a few people said this in different ways, but they said that what doesn't work is having absolutes. There are no absolutes. And I know that that's a tricky word in a lot of ways. But one of the things that I hear out of that, and I know doesn't work, and that is this idea that I can live a life with you of ultimatums. If you don't do this, then I won't do that. Or if you want me to do this, then you need to do that. And when you start putting people into boxes of absolutes, I think that at that point you're treading on really sort of the essence of who people are and why you're not going to get what it is that you're looking for.
Right, and that is a symptom of being a controller. When you give somebody ultimatums, when you're speaking in absolutes, you're trying to control that person. You're trying to control the outcome of something, and controlling you can't control another person, plain and simple. I can't make you do anything.
Yep.
And so if I'm flowing that way in our relationship, and it's manipulation, I could go down. It's so many things rolled up into that. But when a person is speaking in absolutes, they have some issues that they need to deal with.
Absolutely.
But ultimately they have some major control issues.
No question.
They're flowing in manipulation, and that does not work in a marriage. It doesn't work in a relationship, period. In any relationship, when you're making these type of demands on a person, that if you don't do this, basically you're saying, if you don't do this, I'm not going to love you.
You know what?
In order for me to love you, you got to do A, B, C, and D. And it's like,
that's not cool.
That's not how love works. That's not how relationships work.
That's not how it should work. Linwood chimed in. I love it. He says, absolutes causes barriers.
True.
And I think that's so very true, Linwood, because at this particular point, now you're dealing with, in many cases, the core of what makes people up. And so if you say you will absolutely, in order for you to love me, you absolutely have to do this, 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 and this. And it's like, bruh, I'm not trying to jump through those kinds of hoops, or this barrier makes it impossible for me to reach you, connect to you, and be a part of your life. And here's what human beings will do. They will opt out.
Right. And you're
they will just opt out.
And what I'm hearing is your spouse is not your employee.
Ooh.
So when you go to work,
y'all need to put
you
that
have
in the
a job
chat.
description. You're supposed to do A,
good.
B, C, and D in order to get paid. If you do A, B, C, and D, you'll get paid.
As a matter of
So
fact,
you
if
have
you
to
do
arrive
A,
at
B,
work
C,
on time.
and D good enough,
right?
You'll get paid.
Extra.
You'll get extra pay.
That's not how a marriage works.
God bless
Sorry,
God-
it just
God bless
doesn't
you.
work that way. Now, if you had a contract, with your spouse, y'all drew up a contract, with a
It's
job
called a
description.
prenup.
If you had a job description and
interested.
they agreed to it and they signed it,
Right.
maybe.
Right.
But most people I know don't get married that
Right.
way.
Not at all.
You just
Not
kind
at
of
all.
you go through life together. You learn to work together.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a unity.
Absolutely.
You're united. You're
Absolutely.
a team.
Absolutely.
And you can't be a team if one has these absolutes, is making these strict demands on the other person. Now, there are some things, and I won't say they're absolutes, it's just common sense. When you're married, you're supposed to be caring of each other. You're supposed to be, if we want to speak about absolutes, let's go to the scripture on how a husband and wife are supposed to treat each other.
Right.
Those are absolutes.
Right.
But those are not the things we're talking about. We're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about the frivolous stuff, guys, that really, quite frankly, are birthed out of your insecurities, are
If you
birthed
don't
out
have
of.
dinner cooked every day when I come home, then
at 5 o'clock, then I am not talking to you. That's ridiculous. That's controlling. That makes no sense. And quite frankly, most people are not going to live in accordance to that kind of level of expectation. We're talking about the things that have worked for people who've been married for 5 years or more. You guys can certainly feel free to start chiming in on the list that you've for you. If you've not seen anything on this list that you think should be on the list, it's not an all-inclusive list. Obviously, we only have a certain amount of time. But I do want to hear from you, because at the end of the day, I think that this kind of dialogue is the kind of stuff that I didn't have in my first marriage. That had this kind of open dialogue was there, it probably would have gone a lot differently. And I think you probably could say the same.
But I'm kind of glad I didn't in the first.
Oh, whatever. Obviously, we're kind of glad that we met each other. But the point I'm making is some of you all are in relationships right now. And I'm going to just be honest.
Right.
You are contemplating leaving. You are contemplating this is over. You are teetering on the side of I'm done, right? Some of you are done, but you haven't left yet.
Right.
And so in that case, you literally are considering all the possibilities of what leaving looks like. And what we want to do is we want to provide some things that no one was there to provide for us, particularly to say, had you considered this? There's a list, I can't remember where I found it online, that said, here are the 17 things you should consider before divorce.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying? And we may come up with a list like that, because the truth of the matter is that a lot of people literally haven't considered this. You know, and I get it, Linwood. He says unwillingness to grow and change just doesn't work. It doesn't. It doesn't work for you. It doesn't work for your spouse. And so again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about what works in marriage. And we found out that what works is communication. What works is community. What works is forgiveness. We also found out, for those that have been married for more than 5 years, what hasn't worked. What hasn't worked is obviously no communication.
Not forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And then having absolutes in the relationship.
Absolutely. Guys, do me a favor, chime in. Let us know what's working for you and how is it working? Talk to us. What's working for you and how's it working? 1 or 2 words, just put them in the chat. What's working for you and how's it work? The reason why I want you guys to focus on that, and we're going to go ahead and get ready to wrap up here in a second. But guys, listen to me very carefully. My coach says this all the time. And I'm telling you, it has blessed my soul. He said, Glenn, when you find out what works, water that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is my business coach. And I never will forget struggling in our business a year and a half ago. You know, we're a year and a half into the business, and it was about a year and a half ago. And I'm like, man, this ain't working. I don't know how we're going to be able to make this work. And then I never forget when he sat me down and said, well, let's talk about what has worked. Mm-hmm. And when I began to identify the things that worked, the notion at that point was keep watering that. Oftentimes we don't see what works, and so we don't nurture it.
Right. And one thing we like to take couples through is like I take couples, I get them to take a moment, sit back, write a list of what is working in your relationship.
Yep.
What are the good? When couples come to us and they're on the brink of separation, they're on the brink of divorce, do me a favor, sit down, write a list, pros and cons, call it whatever you want. Let's look at it. And in almost every case, there are way more pros than there are cons. There are more things that are working in your relationship than that aren't. And when you look at it on paper, there's something about being able to physically see that, mm-hmm. that it makes you realize this isn't all bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got some areas we need to work on, but it's a whole lot more good. And if we can just work on these few little things, I think we can turn the ship around. Yeah. And in cases where they're willing to do the work to do that, yep. they're able to turn their relationship around.
Absolutely. So we ask everybody what's working for you. Eric Jones Jr. said community is working for us. Guys, awesome. Do me a favor, just put it in the chat really quickly. What is, if you look, see, and here's the crazy thing. So you see, it's easier for us, and we said this earlier, it's easy. If I asked you what wasn't working, this timeline would be blowing up. I promise you it would be. Mm-hmm. It would be on fire. Right. But yeah, right, she get on my nerves, and she did it, and he be doing this. And did you see that he don't put the toothpaste on? Like, you could go, there's a litany of things you can off top of your head. This one you have to think about.
And this is no different than like if someone ever asks you to, what do you like about yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And this is
in that same vein.
Most people have a trouble saying what they like
Have
about
trouble.
themselves.
You said have a trouble.
Have trouble.
Mhm.
Sorry, have trouble looking even at themselves and finding the good. And so it's the same in relationships. And so take some time this weekend. Take some time today. Sit down and write what's working in your relationship.
Yep. I love it. Ashley says this. She says, continue to date your spouse almost 10 years in, and it's something that's important.
Very
Ashley,
important. Agree with you 100%.
let me tell you something. We agree with that. Sheree and I have a continuous date night, and once a week we've committed that we're going to go out and we're going to date, even when we are traveling, even when we're on the road. You know, it's nothing for us to pick up our devices and FaceTime each other and do a date night together. Even when we're on the road. Let me tell you the secret in the date night. It's not the things you're doing, it's the time you're spending.
Right. That breeds intimacy. The more times that you spend together, what creates intimacy in a relationship is time spent together. It's not what you're doing. Intimacy is not about sex. Intimacy is about you guys being together and focusing on one another. Whether that y'all could be playing spades, you could be playing Monopoly, you could be just sitting there watching TV, holding hands. It's being in each other's space and not allowing other things to be a distraction.
Love it. Really quickly, quality, not the amount.
Correct.
I love it.
Correct.
I love it, Ashley. Linwood said, willingness to work through the difficulties. It's worth it.
Awesome.
So having willingness to work through. Sometimes in Linwood, that's a game changer, man, because oftentimes we just say, I give up. I don't have the will to do this anymore. And if you can change your perspective and somehow find that willingness and find the desire to do something, I promise you it begins to work. We got a newlywed we got a 3-day-old newlywed in the room. We got a 3-day-old newlywed in the room. Lacey says, will do. Now, and they don't mind me sharing their situation. They're in our MAPS community. Shout out to our MAPS community. This is our first, no, it's our second. It's our second marriage inside of our community. So Lacey and Rick are the second couple to come into our MAPS Relationship Academy, not married, and then get married while being in the group. And so we are so godly proud of them. But she said, we'll do. And that's coming from a young lady who had been married before, marrying a man who had never been married. And that's a dynamic in of itself. He has some fears and some trepidation, obviously, because he's a grown man and he's never been married. So clearly there's a reason, but yet then she's coming out of a relationship. And that's where community really can help you navigate through those issues and those things that are blocking you. And now she's showing up saying, listen, I hear y'all talking. We will go through and we will do it. And here's what I know. Her community ain't going to have it no other kind of way. Listen, guys, we're going to get ready to get out of here. I appreciate everybody's willingness to chime in. Even if you're catching this by replay, do me a favor, chime in. Let us know what is working in your marriage and what is not. And we're going to encourage you to water what works.
One last thing.
Yes, babe.
And this kind of chimes in with, I think it was Linwood who made the last comment, but fighting for your relationship versus fighting your spouse.
Fighting for it versus fighting it.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's good. That's what works. Identifying what the true enemy is and fighting the enemy of your marriage, not fighting your marriage or fighting your spouse.
Right. Your spouse is not your enemy.
Say that again.
Your spouse is not your enemy.
As we sign off for today, please say that again.
Your spouse is not your enemy.
Guys, listen, I appreciate y'all for jumping in. We'll be back next week. And I'm looking to bring some guests on next week. Hopefully we can get them lined up. But I am super excited, guys. If you are interested in joining the MAPS Relationship Academy, the crcoach.com is where you can find us. I promise you it's a game changer. Lacey just chimed in. She said, God bless her heart. Lacey, she said, no, that was Linwood. That's one of our mottos. I know that's right, Linwood. Lacey was saying, yes, MAPS guided us through the work which we needed, each needed, to have
guided us through the work we needed to do to have a fighting chance at marriage.
Love it. Love it. You see why it takes two to make a thing go right? It takes two to make a thing go right. Okay, before I start singing, Guys, we go get out of here. Y'all already know
So,
at the
level
end. No, please don't level up. At the end of the day, guys, y'all know. Please understand that we all
need some help. Have a great Saturday.
Y'all be good.